Hey guys, this is a quick video just expanding upon something about ghosts and spirits in particular. So, as I've said before, the thing that allows ghosts to interact with our dimension, our physical plane, is a fetter, which is kind of like an anchor to our world. And as I said, these are usually objects that the ghosts have. Just to expand on that, they're usually objects that the deceased used in life heavily, or sort of like something that makes an obvious mental connection to the deceased. So, like a butcher, it would be his knife. So, another thing though is that these can also be places that the spirit has been. So, have you ever heard of like a haunted house? The spirit is attached to the house. So, they're aside from destroying the house, there are other ways to deal with the ghost, namely in ritual. But yeah, that's just that. Okay, and then for that same reason, you may be wondering why demons and spirits can interact with our reality, and that's actually a little bit more complicated. Um, to understand it all, you have to realize that our physical plane is just one soap bubble in a myriad of other soap bubbles that make up the multiverse. So while there's our soap bubble that's the physical plane, then there is other soap bubbles like, you know, hell or heaven or Asgard or a ton of different places. And each one of these has its own distinct rules and physical laws. So hell, as we all know, is a place of intense torture and fire, pain, you know, all that jazz. And obviously, when a spirit goes there and it gets tortured and its humanity is removed and it's now a scrambled egg, then it becomes a demon. And then, so what does it do? How does it get into our plane? Well, like I said, it's complicated, but it's sort of understandable. Okay. Here I have two pieces of paper. Says, I'll take one sec. Okay. So here's paper A and here's paper B. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so let's say that paper A is just gonna fold it and make it smaller because it's taking up the whole dang screen. Alright, here's paper A. And here's paper B. Okay? These two are Earth and let's just call this one Hell. Frankly, Hell's looking pretty nice this time of year. Okay, so we are all on Earth right now. Our bodies are, at least. Our souls and our spirits are sort of hovering on top of that because your soul is not just this three-dimensional object. It's energy and it's powerful. And when you die, your soul and your spirit kind of move on in what's called the second death to another plane when your physical body dies. Okay, so think of these as two different soap bubbles: Earth, Hell. They're kind of riding right on top of one another, and in fact, in the sense of quantum dynamics and string theory, these all kind of take up the same space. For a demon to manifest on the physical plane or our plane is nearly impossible. But what it can do is cause a haunting, and that's basically um, here is hell, here is our dimension, and they just kind of like touch at one point, and that one point is the demon trying to break through, or at least touch. And at that point, the demon is no longer truly in its own dimension. It's kind of halfway into ours and halfway out. In the case of possession, it's doing this and it's attaching itself to a human. when a spirit is um, manifesting on our plane, or ghost, I'm sorry, is manifesting on our plane. Here's our plane. The ghost is just kind of sitting on top here, and its fetter is here, so it can interact. It hasn't really passed on yet. For the most part, the fetter is kind of decided before death. Like, the ghost doesn't really decide what its fetter is because that would be a lot of work. It's really more so an emotional connection that keeps the spirit there. Think of it like if the spirit didn't have any need to stick around, then it would just move on. And in the case of a ghost who, okay, so let me explain it this way. You're dead, you get out of your body, you're looking around, doing everything, and then you decide to move on. Well, let's just say that your fetter was a ring that your grandfather gave you. Okay, it's something you have an intense emotional connection to. It's something that's very important to you, and it's something that others could pretty much easily identify as something that belongs to you. So if you move on, your fetter is released, and you have no real reason to stay. Moving on usually happens nearly instantaneously, but if it isn't, then the anchor is, you know, held on, and the ghost can remain. Usually, anchors or fetters, like I said, have some form of DNA on them, or have some kind of blood connection. For example, if let's say, for example, the ghost in question, when it was alive, had a lock of its hair put into a doll or something, or because that's happened to one of my friends and it was not a good experience, and or the spirit, well, just about any kind of DNA holding on to is what you're looking for with a fetter. So rings are common ones. It doesn't have to have DNA, and like I said, it could even be as large as a house, and it can do its own thing. But once the anchor is released, the spirit has no choice but to move on. So therein lies the tale. And yeah, like I said, the only way you can really get rid of a spirit aside from ritual is to destroy the object that holds it, or to have it do its unfinished business, which in the case of most angry spirits is to kill lots of people, which you can't really do. So, but back to demons and angels and everything else. When they interact with our dimension, it's literally just like they push out and then they touch our dimension. And in some cases, they exist more in our dimension than in theirs. But in either case, they're neither totally in or out. They're just kind of like halfway there. Which is why no demon can manifest physically in our dimension, as far as I know. I've never met one who can. But that's also why I think that angels might be able to manifest physically. But again, I never heard of it. Um, so yeah, and that also shows you why possession works. Our brain isn't our soul. It communicates with our soul. Think of your brain as a big radio, and it's not going with electrical signals, it's going with dimensional signals, because your soul and your spirit, they are dimensional energies that your brain picks up on and translates into motion and movement. So when possession happens, a spirit is hijacking your brain and using it to communicate with your body. So it is inside you in the sense that it is using you and that it is basically overlapping you in a dimensional sense, um, but not physically jumping into your mouth or in your ears or whatever. And that's kind of how exorcisms work, which is they knock the spirit out of you and, well, they knock the spirit back to their own dimension, um, where I guess they belong. So, okay, and I'm going to share with you soon a video on exorcism, and I would really like to do that firsthand because just telling you about it would be kind of boring, and they're easy enough to do. So, Okay. Yeah, well, thank you for your time, everyone. Rate, comment, subscribe, and yeah, enjoy.